on the screen. And I'm gonna do the view, so I'm not looking at myself only. Go. Great. So yeah, so today I think I heard you guys talking about it. Chris is back either today or yesterday, and so this is going to be the last talk in the Not On lecture series we've been doing. And so we get to hear about her travels in Vietnam, hopefully. And so today I'm going to talk about chapter 23 in this Heart of the Buddha's teaching, about the five aggregates, or the five skandhas. And so let's see. Natan starts out with,
Do we do the before lecture chant?
oh, we do the before lecture chant. We also say names, excuse me. So would everybody like to go in the room and say names?
Debbie, Susan, Marilyn, Ellen, Juliet, Mary Ann, Kristen, Beth, Sue, Kathy, Karen.
Oh, okay. And on screen, I see Wayne and Gretchen and Christine, Judith and Morgan, Romaine, Lainey, Subhana, Jody, who's also Deborah, I'm sure, Nancy, and Melissa. And so then the before lecture chat. And unsurpassed,
It is
even in 100,000
billion of us, having it to see and listen to remember and accept. I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words.
All right. Thank you for the reminders. And so once again, we'll launch right in to the five aggregates. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Volume here. Okay. So Nhat says the five aggregates are the five skandhas. According to Buddhism, a human being is composed of five aggregates or skandhas, and they are form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. The five aggregates contain everything, both inside and outside of us, in nature and in society. And so the first one is form, or rupa. And it's interesting because, Buddha figures are called rupas. They're the form aspect, or the Nirmanakaya aspect of Buddha nature. So form means our body, including our five sense organs and our nervous system. To practice the mindfulness of the body, you might like to lie down and practice total relaxation. Allow your body to rest, and then be mindful of your forehead. Breathing in, I am aware of my forehead. Breathing out, I smile to my forehead. Use the energy of mindfulness to embrace your forehead, your brain, your eyes, your ears, your nose. Every time you breathe in, become aware of one part of your body. And every time you breathe out, smile to that part of your body. Embrace your heart, lungs, and stomach, using your energies and mindfulness to love and embrace each part. So that's Nathan's teaching on taking care of ourselves, our body. Please take good care of your body, allowing it to rest and embracing it with tenderness, compassion, mindfulness, and love. And then he further says, learn to look at your body as a river in which each cell is a drop of water. In every moment, cells are born and cells die. Birth and death support each other. To practice mindfulness of the body, follow your breathing and focus your attention on each part. Yeah. So he goes on about that, and it's about also noticing the compounded nature of the body, the emptiness of the body, or the lack of self-existence of the body. And often the example is used of a car. So if we're looking for where is a car, do you say that the wheels are the car? No, the wheels are the wheels. Is the front bumper the car? No, that's the front bumper. The seat's the car. So the more you look for the car, you really can't find a car. You can only find all the parts that make up a car. And so we apply that also to ourselves of saying, is my ear Erica? Is my hand, is this Erica here? No, there's no place. And then, of course, the further you look, the less you can find it, right? So there's no place where there's a self-existent, separate self called Erica. So this is, I think the study of the five aggregates is about this. It's about kind of taking apart bit by bit all the things that we think are real and solid and permanent about ourselves in the world. Um, yeah. And he says, identify the four elements in your body: earth, water, air, heat. See the connection these four elements inside and outside. See the living presence of your ancestors and future generations, as well as the presence of all other beings in the animal, vegetal, mineral realms. Yeah. And of course, being aware of the positions of one's body, standing, walking, sitting, lying down, being mindful in all those times. And then the second aggregate, the second skanda, is the one of feelings. And he writes, there's a river of feelings within us, and every drop of water in that river is a feeling. To observe our feelings, we sit on the bank of the river and identify each feeling as it flows by. It may be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. One feeling lasts for a while, and then another one comes. Meditation is to be aware of each feeling. Smile to it, look deeply into it, embrace it with all of your heart, which, is so sweet. Rather than, oh my God, I'm feeling that feeling again. I can't stand it. So I, this one, the feelings of all the skandhas is the most difficult for me because there's a notion like if a predominant feeling is so prevalent in my body that somehow I can say, oh yeah, feelings come and go and feelings are emptiness, except for this one. This one was really me, you know. And so it's something, over time uh I work with or have worked with, right? Yeah. So he says the more we know our feelings, we are able to embrace each feeling and take good care of it. Yeah. And I would say with feelings, and as we go on, perceptions and formations, the other really sweet instruction that maybe comes more out of Vajrayana, Tibetan practice, that when we're meditating and we experience this kind of open sky-like mind presence, beingness, and feelings arise, and then the ones that are really sticky. um I like to just imagine this like blue sky, and there's these puffy white clouds going by, which are the feelings, right? Feelings, thoughts, emotions, all these things. And you can just open my hand and allow this feeling to just float out in the sky like a puffy white cloud. and float on by. Um, so when things get really sticky, that's one I can do. So the third aggregate or skanda is perceptions. Again, he writes, in us there is a river of perceptions. Perceptions arise, stay for a period of time, and cease to be. The aggregate of perception includes noticing, naming, conceptualizing, as well as the perceiver and the perceived. And so he says, as far as perceptions, they're often erroneous and we suffer. It's helpful to look deeply into the nature of our perceptions without being too sure of anything. And this really reminded me of when Chelsea spoke and said, any view that we hold is a wrong view, because it's only part. It's if we're holding this side, then what about that side, or what about the bigger picture? And the example that Nathan gives for not being too sure about our perceptions or questioning them is, say you're in a rowboat on the river, and then you're you're rowing along, and this other boat comes down the river and is coming straight at you. And so you're yelling to stop, look out, you're gonna crash into me. And you're doing all this, and they're not, and it's still coming. They're not listening, they're not moving, you're getting more and more angry. And then the boat crashes into you, and then you look and see, oh, there was nobody in the boat. So then you can just go, oh, there was no ill intent. It wasn't that these people were not paying attention. There wasn't anybody there. And so that kind of um, thing, I can get all, you know, up in arms about what's going on, or what I think, or that somebody doesn't like me, or I said the wrong thing. And it's like, well, are you sure? Is that just your perception? What's really going on? So again, mindfulness of perceptions. The fourth aggregate is mental formations. And this is anything that's made of another element is a formation, which is everything, right? And he says a flower is a formation because it is made of sunshine, clouds, seeds, minerals, gardeners, so on. Fear is also a formation, a mental formation. And feelings, perceptions, all are mental formations. So then he goes on to say, according to Vijnana Vedanta school of the Northern Transmission, there are 51 categories of mental formations. So, so don't worry, I haven't memorized them. I'm not going to recite them for you at this time. You're lucky. But I did look up Google, and it sounds like actually Nhat Hanh is the one, he really brought them forward uh, in in his way of being mindful of every bit. So what it says in Google about mental formations is the 51 mental formations are categories of mental states, emotions, and cognitive processes identified in Buddhist psychology, which are grouped into universals, particulars, wholesome factors, unwholesome factors, and intermediate factors. So, mindfulness allows us to recognize, embrace, and transform these states. Yeah. So, um, that's a lot. That's a lot. Uh, yeah, that kind of thing, my eyes glaze over and I start to drool. So, anyway, then the fifth aggregate is consciousness. Now, consciousness, he says, consciousness here means store consciousness. It's more like our personal consciousness, which is the base of everything that we are. the ground of our mental formations. And so then he gets into something that he's written and talked about a lot, watering the seeds, like watering the seeds of our goodness and what, watering other people's seeds and yours, and which ones do you emphasize and promote? So he says, so the mental formations, when they're not manifesting, reside in the storehouse consciousness in the form of seeds. Seeds of joy, peace, understanding, compassion, forgetfulness, jealousy, fear, despair, and so on. And that's where the 51 categories come in. And he says, every time we water one of them or allow it to be watered by someone else, that seed manifests and becomes a mental formation. So we have to be careful about the seeds that we water in ourselves and others. Um, and just now it occurs to me, it's like our precept on not speaking ill of others, or, not gossiping, the things that we, what are we bringing forth in our daily life and speech. Yeah. And then also from the kind of Tibetan, from Vajrayana practice, they talk about ground of being. So consciousness, here he's talking about our consciousness, but then I also experience, presence, spaciousness, our vast aspect of consciousness as a consciousness. And the Tibetans talk about ground of being. And I understand that as being like an aspect of nirvana, like the ground of being. And they talk about the mother consciousness and the child consciousness. So the mother consciousness being the vast, open, sky-like spaciousness that we experience in meditation, and the child consciousness being our own. And then an aspect being to be able to merge those two. And they talk about at the time of death, this is a time when this ground consciousness, this ground of being, is very accessible or very available to us. And that's why that's such a precious time to be able to merge our consciousness, the mother consciousness, with the child consciousness. So something to look forward to. Yeah. And yeah, so of course, as we've heard with all of our speakers, he always takes it to the interbeing aspect of everything. And he says the five aggregates are within ourselves. We should also be aware that five aggregates have a roots in society and nature. Meditate on the assembly of five aggregates in yourself until you're able to see the oneness of our own self and the universe. And this is to be liberated from the five aggregates. And so this leads me to the Great Heart of Perfect Wisdom Sutra, because that's what they're talking about. The whole thing is the five aggregates: no eyes, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, even active sensing, right? And they go through all of it. And so, I guess I feel like all of our study in the last few weeks has been about looking at these different ways, sides of Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist understanding, that all point at not getting stuck on our individual separate self, or realizing that we're not self-existent entities, separate self-existent entities. And then what happened is, so Nhat Hanh, being Nhat Hanh, wrote did a number of years ago a new translation of the Heart Sutra. And I think we've mentioned this. I don't know if I can't remember if we've studied it in the past or read it, but I just thought it'd be interesting to kind of compare the two. Like I've got our chant book, Heart of Perfect Wisdom Sutra, and and then and then his kind of retranslation. And I'll just go, back and forth a little bit. And so this, because I think oh yeah, we're still good on time. So um so we say, here, let me drink a water. So in the translation that's come down to us that we use, we call it the Heart of Great Perfect Wisdom Sutra. And he translates that, or he translates actually Prajnaparamita as the insight that brings us to the other shore. And so prajna, of course, is wisdom. And I didn't look up paramita, but he's saying the insight that brings us to the other shore. So what's the other shore? The other shore is the understanding that we are not a self-existent separate self, right? So I'll just go back and forth. It's just interesting to see. He goes, so in the version that we chant, it says, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, when deeply practicing Prajnaparamita, clearly saw that all five aggregates are empty and thus relieved all suffering. And then his first stanza is, Avalokiteshvara, while practicing deeply with the insight that brings us to the other shore, suddenly discovered that all five skandhas are equally empty. And with this realization, he overcame all ill being. Yeah. And then he says, guess what else is a good one? I mean, I would say that, the insight that brings us to the other shore doesn't roll off the tongue the way Prajnaparamita does. We have to say that, right? But but it's still like it it really helps us. So he says there, and we say here, therefore, given emptiness. Let's see. Well, so they go through all of it, and he says, all Buddhas, past, present, and future, by practicing the insight that brings us to the other shore, are capable of attaining perfect enlightenment. And at the end, he writes, therefore, Shariputra, it should be known that the insight that brings us to the other shore is a great mantra, illuminating mantra, the great bright mantra, to relieve all suffering. And then, gate, gate, para samgate, gone beyond, gone to the other shore. And again, the other shore, what other shore? The other shore of no being and no non-being. The other shore of not falling down on the one side of one view and not holding on to another view. So this is his, yeah. So I just think it's fascinating. And he, yeah. So that's a little thing, because really, the Heart Sutra is just illuminates all we've been studying. Um, so my final, um, so my final fun is that, I think I spoke a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned Songsar Khyentse Rinpoche, who is this Bhutanese Vajrayana, a Tibetan teacher. Um, and I'm a fan. I follow him on Instagram. And you can follow him on Instagram. He has about 3 different sites because I think he has a translation foundation and a study foundation with the colleges and does things all over Asia and teaches. Um, and he's entertaining to see on Instagram. And it's also nice to like the Buddhist sites, and then I don't get as many of the political ones. It has to balance with the algorithms the way they go. If you like something, then you get 10 times more of it, and pretty soon you're overwhelmed. So Zongzar writes, the main thing to think is that everything is a dream. Then ask immediately, who thinks everything is an illusion? I mean, this is so profound. The main thing is to think that everything is a dream. Then ask immediately, who thinks everything is an illusion? And then he says, if you do this properly every day for 2 or 3 years, your world perception will change. And I love that in a number of ways because, you know, there's no quick fix, right? Like if you can remember every day for several years and wonder who it is that's thinking, pretty soon, it'll shift. And the other thing is that struck me when I saw this little thing is that it is like our, well, maybe more in the Rinzai koan practice, the some of the initial koans is like, who am I? Or looking, the the introspection into who's thinking, who is it, who am I, who's here, and of course, the more you look, the less you find, and that's the great thing. So, um, anyway, I think that is a lot to say, and I just thank everyone for listening and thank Chelsea and Debbie and Marianne, and we all work together on this, and how it all links together. Like Chelsea's talk, the 3 marks, impermanence, no self, or nirvana, are just exactly what we just talked about with the 5 skandhas and understanding that uh, everything is interrelated and formations, and there is no self existence. No, but there's no non-self existence either. So there you go. All right. Good.
Do you need to read us the Thich Nhat Hanh translation of the Heart Sutra?
You want to hear the whole thing?
Would that be cool? Yeah.
Okay, sure. I didn't want, yeah, it's not too long. I see. That I saw that they were trying. The Plum Village was trying to put it to music, to some kind of chantability. It'd be wonderful. I haven't heard that. I haven't managed to look that up. But here we go. Yeah. Goes the insight that brings us to the other shore. Avalokiteshvara, while practicing deeply with the insight that brings us to the other shore, suddenly discovered that all the 5 skandhas are equally empty. And with this realization, he overcame all ill being. Listen, Shariputra, this body itself is emptiness, and emptiness itself is this body. This body is not other than emptiness, and emptiness is not other than this body. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Listen, Shariputra, all phenomena bear the mark of emptiness. Their true nature is the nature of no birth, no death, no being, no non-being, no defilement, no purity, no increasing, no decreasing. That is why in emptiness, Body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are not separate entities. The 18 realms of phenomenon, which are the 6 sense organs, the 6 sense objects, and the 6 consciousnesses, are also not separate entities. The 12 links of interdependent arising and their extinction are also not separate self entities. Ill being and the causes of ill being and the end of ill being, the path, the insight, and attainment are also not separate self entities. Whoever can see this no longer needs anything to attain. Bodhisattvas who practice the insight that brings us to the other shore see no more obstacles in their mind because there are no more obstacles in their mind. They can overcome all fear, destroy all wrong perception, and realize perfect nirvana. All Buddhas in the past, present, and future, by practicing the insight that brings us to the other shore, are all capable of attaining authentic and perfect enlightenment. Therefore, Shariputra, it should be known that the insight that brings us to the other shore is a great mantra, the most illuminating mantra, the highest mantra, a mantra beyond compare, the true wisdom that has the power to put an end to all kinds of suffering. Therefore, let us proclaim a mantra to praise the insight that brings us to the other shore. Gate, gate, parasam, gate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, parasam, gate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, parasam, gate, bodhisvaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone to the other shore. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Woo. So I have a few minutes. Shall we've got maybe 10 minutes for groups. 10 minutes for groups. Okay.
Up to my notes up.
See, we've got what, 3 triads.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions.
And what's the question?
That's a question.
Who is thinking? Who is thinking this? Who thinks this is a dream? Or anything else you want to talk about?
So you want to put them in groups? Yeah, then you and I can partner up. Where are they? The breakout rooms. Okay, let me turn off the recording first.